Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and really dissect the anatomy of a deception. It's a story that shows you, step by step, how something as essential as trust can be turned into a weapon, and how a dream investment can turn into an absolute nightmare. It all starts with words like these, a promise that feels so powerful, so alluring. And this isn't some generic spam email, right? This is a personal pitch, delivered with a voice that sounds like pure confidence, pure warmth. It's the hook, and it's designed to make you feel like you're special, like this is your moment. And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How does trust become a weapon? To figure that out, we're going to follow the story of a woman named Abby who fell victim to a scammer named Ghazala Din. Her whole experience is just a perfect and pretty chilling case study in how modern fraud really works. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. The very first step in any scam like this is to build a rock-solid foundation of trust. And for Ghazala Din, her number one tool was her voice. This is what we call the lure. It's not a blanket approach, it's a targeted attack that hones in on your specific hopes, your fears, your insecurities. Ghazala's voice was apparently incredibly smooth, confident, almost hypnotic. It was the perfect vehicle to deliver a promise that sounded, maybe a little too good to be true, but just so reassuring you couldn't possibly ignore it. So, what happens when you have that little voice of doubt in the back of your head? Well, when Abby hesitated, Ghazala didn't push or argue. Instead, she presented this whole package of proof. We're talking screenshots, glowing testimonials, and of course, a personal guarantee. It's such a classic move. Create this airtight illusion of legitimacy before a single dollar has even been sent. All right, the hook is set. Now the scam enters its next phase, manufacturing trust. And this isn't about one big score. No, this is a slow, careful process. It's all about making the victim feel safe, secure, and honestly, smart for getting in on this. The strategy here is actually brilliant in how simple it is. The scammer sends out small but consistent payouts. Every single payment that arrives on time is like a little shot of validation. It quiets that skeptical voice in your head and makes you think, okay, wow, this is real. This is actually working. You're literally being psychologically conditioned to trust the system and, of course, to invest even more money. Now, to really turn up the volume on this whole thing, Ghazala did something genius. She created a group chat. This was a masterstroke. It instantly built a sense of community, a feeling of we're all in this together. And when you see other people celebrating their wins, their payouts, man, that is incredibly powerful. You're not just some lone investor anymore. You're part of a movement. You're all chasing a shared dream. But you know how these things go. This perfect illusion, it couldn't last forever. In September of 2023, the entire narrative starts to change. The first little crack appears in the facade. And it starts with something so small, so plausible, you wouldn't even think twice about it. Oh, just a minor glitch at the bank. It's casual, it's not alarming, it's perfectly designed to buy a little bit of time without setting off any alarm bells. I mean, a one-day delay, that's no big deal, right? But then one day turns into a few days, and the excuses have to get a little bit bigger. But they still sound pretty plausible. And notice what's happening here. The problem is always somewhere else. It's the bank's fault. This brilliantly frames the scammer as a fellow victim, someone who's fighting hard on your behalf to fix the problem. And this is where you can see a really critical change. Ghazala's whole tone shifts. She goes from that smooth, calm, confident person to someone who sounds breathless and defensive. The focus is no longer on making money. It's about putting out fire after fire. And that, right there, is a massive red flag. And now we are entering the final, frantic phase of the whole deception. Those little cracks have turned into a full-on spiral of lies. It's all designed to confuse, to exhaust, and to emotionally manipulate you until you don't know which way is up. The excuses just become a constant barrage. They're vague, they're technical, and they're totally impossible for you to verify. At this point, the goal isn't even to be believed anymore. The goal is to create so much chaos and noise that you just get worn down completely. And then, this is the kill shot. When the facts start to fail, the scammer attacks your perception of reality. This is pure textbook gaslighting. It completely flips the script. It makes Abby's totally legitimate questions feel like some kind of personal betrayal. All of a sudden, she's the one who's being unreasonable. The last few promises are made, and each one is more desperate than the last. But the outcome is always the same. Nothing. Just silence. The canyon between her words and her actions is now it's undeniable. So, once all the excuses have run out, once the manipulation isn't working anymore, the scammer has only one move left: to disappear. This is the final act of the scam, and it's the beginning of a very long road for the victim. First, the messages just stop. That constant line of communication that was once buzzing with promises and good news suddenly goes dead. Then the calls stop connecting. That once reassuring voice is gone, replaced by a generic, automated recording. The wall of silence is going up, brick by brick. And finally, the entire manufactured community, that vibrant hub of shared dreams and success stories, is just deleted, wiped off the map overnight. It was never real. And just like that, the victim is left completely alone. The result is just total devastation. And it's not just the money, which is catastrophic. It's the complete destruction of trust. Trust in other people, and maybe worst of all, trust in your own judgment. Ghazala Din is now a ghost, and all she's left behind is wreckage.
But you know what? This story doesn't end there in the wreckage, because after the shock wears off, a decision is made. Abby chooses not to stay silent, not to let this loss be the final word. She decides she's going to fight back by making sure everyone knows what happened.
So what can we all learn from Abby's story? Well, it gives us a really clear checklist of red flags, doesn't it? The overly confident promises, those initial small payouts to build your confidence, the constant pressure to reinvest, the vague excuses that start popping up, the gaslighting when you dare to question things, and finally, that sudden, complete communication breakdown. These are the telltale signs. And this brings us to a final thought. Ghazala used a very convincing voiceover on the phone, but scammers' tactics are always evolving. So what's today's equivalent? Is it a hyper-realistic deepfake video call? Is it a super charismatic influencer that you see every day in your social media feed? Or maybe it's a friendly AI chatbot that seems to know you better than you know yourself. The methods are always changing, but the playbook of deception, that stays the same.